The sting of death. The Apostle Paul pictures death as a terrible dragon or monster, which coming upon all men must be fought with by each one for himself. He gives us no hope that any of us can avoid it. He tells us of no secret bridge to cross the river of death. He does not give us the faintest hope that it is possible to emerge from this state of existence into another without first dying. He describes the monster as one being exactly in our path, and with it we must fight, each man personally, separately, and alone. Each man must die. We all must cross the black stream. Each one of us must go through the iron gate. There is no passage from this world into another without death. He braces up our nerves for combat. But Paul gives us no hope that we shall be able to slay this monster. He does not tell us that we can strike our sword into his heart and easily kill him, but rather he seems to say, "Thou canst not slay it, man. There is no hope that thou shouldst ever put thy foot upon its neck and crush its head. But one thing can be done. It has a sting which you can extract. You cannot crush death under your foot, but you may pull out the sting which is deadly, and then you will need not fear the monster. For the monster shall be no longer. Where, then, is the sting of this dragon? Where must I strike? What is the sting? The apostle tells us that the sting of death is sin. The thought of death is most terrible to man when he is in heavy sin, and it is not forgiven. If that is not the exact meaning of the apostle, it is a great truth nonetheless. If sin lay heavy on me, and it were not forgiven, and if my transgressions were unpardoned, it would be the very sting of death to me. Let us consider a man dying, and looking back on his past life. He will find in death a sting, and that sting will be his past sin. Imagine a conqueror's deathbed. He has been a man of blood from his youth up, bred in the camp. His lips were early set to command armies, and his hand, even in infancy, struck the drum. He had a martial spirit. He delighted in the fame and applause of men. He loved the dust of battle and the garment rolled in blood. He has lived a life of what men call glory. He has stormed cities, conquered countries, ravaged continents, and overrun the world. We see his banners hanging in the hall. He is one of earth's proudest warriors. But now, like the rest of us, he comes to die, and when he lies down to expire, what shall haunt him in the soul? I think it shall be his sin. I see the monarch dying. He lies down on his deathbed. Around him are his nobles and his counselors. But there is something else there. Hard by his side there stands a spirit from Hades. It is the soul of a departed woman. She looks at him and says, "You monster! My husband was slain in battle through your ambition. I was made a widow, and my helpless orphans and myself were starved." Her husband then comes, and opening wide his bloody wounds, he cries, "By thy covetousness you did provoke an unjust war. For your sake I mounted the scaling ladder first. This foot stood upon the top of the wall, and I waved my sword in triumph, but in hell I lifted up my eyes in torment." Turning his horrid eyes upon him, he passes by. Then up comes another, and another, and another yet. These are souls waking from their tombs, and they stalk around his bed and haunt him for the evil deeds he has done in the past. He shuts his eyes, but he feels the cold. "How art thou have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning! How art thou brought down as in a moment from thy glory and thy pride!" The sting of death is a man's sin. It would not sting him that he had to die, but rather it would plague him and torture his very soul.